Allianz China A-Shares Fund aims to provide investor access to a diversified portfolio of exciting investment opportunities in the onshore market of China. These are companies listed in Shenzhen or Shanghai Stock Exchange in China, and especially in a domestic market, onshore market is typically seen as more linked to the domestic economy recovery and is seen as less risky and less prone to some of the geopolitical volatility that we have been seeing in the recent days. Another thing is that as China moves on from an economy that is property-led growth model to a more innovation, high value-added service-led growth model, some of the opportunities that we are talking about in China, like EVs, autonomous driving, AI, or humanoid robots, or even domestic consumer brands, a lot of these areas are better represented in the China A-Shares Fund. We are a bottom-up manager trying to look for companies that can deliver sustainable growth in reasonable valuation for us. So what we try to do is really to focus on our expertise, which is the bottom-up stock selection, picking the winners in each sector, but we do not do any sector positioning. One of the key features of the China A-Shares market is the very frequent sector rotation in a retail-dominated investor base. So what happened, for example, in IT in 2015, it was up 50%, but in the year after, it was down 30%. And the next year, it was up 30% again, and in the next year, it was down 50% again. So if this is not being managed carefully in terms of that kind of sector positioning, it can easily result to significant volatility for our investors. So what we try to do for Allianz China A-Shares Fund, our sector positions is always within plus or minus 5% against the benchmark. We focus on picking the winners in each of the sectors so that the performance, consistency, and repeatability is what we try to achieve. So for example, within consumer discretionary, we identify some of the well-managed EV brands or auto parts, which is in the supply chain, which are expected to outperform the peers in the consumer sector. We also have Chinese banks, well-quality ones that are paying good dividend yield within the financial sectors. And we also invest in AI-related beneficiaries, for example, in software or even in humanoid robots. So what we try to do is really using an institutional way to invest in a market like China for our Allianz China A-Shares Fund. Allianz China A-Shares aims to identify some of the winner stocks in each of the sector. So as a result, you will find our portfolio being a wide, diversified portfolio, investing in different companies across different areas in the market. So our sector positions is typically around 5%, within 5% against the benchmark. And any sector overweight or underweight is simply a reflection of where we find more bottom-up stock ideas in each sector. To give you some examples, increasingly we are seeing the import substitution trend being reinforced, especially as the geopolitical uncertain situation happens between US and China. So some of the companies like semiconductor equipment or EVs continue to benefit from China focusing on the self-sufficiency trend as a key strategic direction. AI is also another structural trend that we like. It is an expanding ecosystem, which is no longer just about infrastructure, hardware in AI server or optical transceivers, but increasingly moving to the application areas, for example, software, humanoid robots, even autonomous driving, etc. In consumer, this is also another area that we find a lot of domestic brands in some of the specific areas, for example, pet economy or formula milk powder for babies, are increasingly interesting as they continue to gain market share within the domestic consumer market. Last but not least, dividend is getting a structural trend in China, especially in a low interest rate environment. Companies with high quality balance sheets, good cash management, and potential to raise the dividend yield is something that investors are increasingly favoring. So as a result, you will find that our top holdings is really a reflection of our approach, not tilting towards one or two single sectors, but really highlighting some of the preferred pick in each of the sector that we like in the economy. Allianz China A-Shares Fund is managed by our lead portfolio manager, Xiaoping Guan, as well as deputy portfolio manager, Kevin Yu, and both are based in Hong Kong together with the rest of the team of 10 dedicated analysts and myself as product specialist.